Coming up on Bruce Lee Lives. He radiated action heroes.
He jumped off the screen.
Obliterated bad guys.
He'd take on like 10 dudes and light everybody up.
And dominated movie screens.
It's the martial arts blended with the camera work.
With razor-sharp skill and mad charisma, Bruce Lee left audiences in total awe.
You know, it's like he could really throw down.
On camera, nobody made martial arts look this real.
He just wanted to do it real, and he wanted it raw.
Now, Bruce Lee's authenticity inspires a new breed of athlete.
In skateboarding, either you're the real deal or you're just a poser.
Real skill and the ability to show it in style.
That's what makes an icon.
It's Bruce Lee, the entertainer, on Bruce Lee Lives.
Name Bruce Lee, what does that mean to you?
Bruce Lee was hot.
Bruce Lee was in his movies, he'd take on like 10 dudes and light everybody up with one punch.
The sound effects, the noises he made when he would strike.
He was somehow more animal than most people and more godlike than most people.
He immortalized confidence. You could see it in his eyes. You could see it in his body movements.
He just knew that he was a badass. And I mean, I'm a badass, but damn.
Bruce Lee, a master martial artist, an expert fighter, and one of the most badass people ever to step on screen.
But what's cool about Bruce Lee is that he took martial arts, did it his own way, and put it in film. That's punk rock.
Now, Bruce Lee Lives, in the series that celebrates the life and legacy of the greatest martial artist of all time.
We'll show him.
On this episode, we take on Bruce Lee, the entertainer. Lights, camera, kung fu. Enter the ultimate action star. Bruce Lee blasted onto American movie screens in the early 1970s. Today, he's one of the biggest film icons of all time.
He literally was my first hero.
He was a superhero in my mind.
Bruce Lee's screen presence was electrifying. With a unique blend of physical ability and personal charm, he broke the hero mold.
Jean-Claude Van Damme, Steven Seagal. But the fact that these guys became huge action stars, it's not because of Clint Eastwood, it's not because of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's not because of Sylvester Stallone. It's because of Bruce Lee.
He's been gone for nearly 40 years, but on screen, the Bruce Lee legacy is as potent as ever. Watch any of his films, even for the very first time, and his genius is impossible to miss. He had all the makings of a consummate entertainer. The ability to grab the audience with his killer moves.
Bruce Lee is the guy that makes ass-kicking the requisite thing to be an action hero. Literal ass-kicking. I'm not talking about figurative ass-kicking. I mean literally kicking your ass.
The ripped physique.
He had a tremendous physique. You know, when he took his shirt off, he wasn't bound by big muscles, but he was ripped.
Ripped.
The cocky attitude.
His swagger, his look was all his own, and it was just extremely cool.
A signature style.
He had a particular flair for the flashy.
And some full-on movie star magnetism.
I shall accept punishment for the lives that I took.
There's no one who has the full package. There's no one with the star power, the charisma.
Like Elvis, or I guess in that day, Michael Jackson. There was a certain quality to him that separated him. He seemed like a rock star.
Lee reached the pinnacle of fame in the early 1970s. But his star quality can be traced back to the very beginning, as a child actor.
Bruce Lee was an actor since he was a kid. He was like this big.
Bruce Lee was born on November 27th, 1940, in San Francisco. while his father, a famous Cantonese opera star, was touring professionally. Upon returning to Hong Kong with his parents, Lee's own acting career took flight.
His father was in show business, and he started doing some TV shows in Hong Kong.
You boys are silly messing with me.
Lee found his place in the limelight, appearing in short black and white films as a child.
That ought to teach you a lesson.
He actually earned the nickname Little Dragon. He would show up in shows when he was like 6 years old.
So in the beginning.
Even in his youth, Lee honed the sensibility that would make him a megastar.
If you grow up in the Chinese opera, which is a big show, really big show, you get the idea that people want to see something quite flamboyant.
Bruce Lee, at a young age knew that he was onto something.
He's one of those people that have that it that you can't really develop. Like either you're born with it and it manifests in you or it doesn't.
Are you ready?
I sure am.
Your attention.
He wants your attention.
You're about to see a show you've never seen before.
And you may never see again.
By the time he was 18, Bruce Lee had appeared in 20 films in his native Hong Kong. But he longed for a larger stage.
And Bruce was so eager to absorb all knowledge of filmmaking, which was what he loved.
His quest for success would lead him to the University of Washington to study drama, and eventually on to Los Angeles, where he landed the role of Kato on the Green Hornet.
Test X2, take one, speed.
Even in his screen test, Lee worked the camera like a pro.
Now look directly into the camera, Bruce.
Well, in Chinese opera, the way the warrior walk will be something like this. Walking this way, straight, come out, bend, straight, and then walk out again.
That he played on Green Hornet, Kato, the main guy's sidekick.
Another challenge for the Green Hornet. His aide, Kato, and their rolling arsenal, the Black Beauty.
From there, he started to become a little bit better known. He started showing up in cameos in other TV shows.
Lee's character Kato would later make guest appearances on the TV series Batman. But the small screen couldn't hold a talent this big for long.
It's not until later that, he goes from being this guy who's an incredible fighter and, a kind of burgeoning actor to being Bruce Lee.
Coming up, Bruce Lee hits the big screen hard.
He was literally beaten and bruised and battered by the end of some of these film shoots.
And then the action gets extreme as modern-day sports stars rip, ride, and roar in the footsteps of Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee first impressed American audiences with his television roles in the mid-1960s. But his real star quality wasn't showcased until years later, in a string of popular movies from the early 1970s. Films that would eventually become the stuff of legend and change the shape of Kung Fu cinema forever.
I don't know of any movie now that holds up to a Bruce Lee film.
I just would watch him on repeat, always, relentlessly.
I could recite probably all his movies, and I haven't even seen him in a while now.
Do you remember what was the first movie you saw?
Fist of Fury.
I watched Fist of Fury recently.
Fist of Fury. It's like early Bruce. You know what I'm saying?
I was probably 12 years old, and my Taekwondo instructor at the time, he lent me a video cassette of The Big Boss.
Probably the most impactful Bruce Lee film for me as a youth was Enter the Dragon.
Enter the Dragon, obviously it's the most notable, most famous one.
And just him kicking ass and taking names, My favorite is Game of Death. Game of Death is my all-time favorite.
We all know kicking Kareem Abdul in his face, even though you're about 3 feet shorter than him.
I can't imagine what that would have been like to see it in the cinema the first time with an auditorium full of people, and he does that and everybody gasps at the same time.
I wish they would replay that more on TV, because I need to set my TiVo.
Bruce Lee's films became a cultural phenomenon, and each one helped cement his icon status.
I mean, there was nobody like him.
He's the bad boy, he's breaking all the rules. He really brought this, street style, raw edge.
Bruce Lee stole every scene he appeared in because he had an edge above the typical action star. Formerly a drama major at the University of Washington, he was an actor with serious conviction.
Bruce, as an actor, was great.
He took his craft as being an actor very seriously.
And he was a perfectionist.
There's a lot of subtleties in his movies that he was trying to portray.
Just him walking from point A to point B, just the way he walks, you can tell. Don't mess with that dude.
And there would be moments of depth and where you could see what he was thinking and that there was a soulful quality to the way he worked.
Lee worked hard to hone his acting skills, but the perfectionist in him demanded to learn even more. He wanted to master the entire filmmaking process.
The way he choreographs his fight scenes are just amazing.
Cinematic language that he used was really designed to make the action more enhanced.
It's not just the martial arts. It's the martial arts blended with the camera work. It's acknowledging that the camera work is just as important. You can shoot a great fight, and if you shoot it from the wrong angle, it's going to look terrible.
Lee cared very much about how things looked, so he decided to take control.
He liked the precision, the quality. You better have the cameras ready because he's going to do it the first time. He understood cinema. He really did.
Bruce Lee would do it all. Transcending the role of actor, he went on to write, choreograph, direct, and produce for film. And his standards were high. From his first starring role to his later work behind the camera, he held tight to a guiding principle: keep it real. This was a major deviation from the kung fu films of the past.
Well, originally, when you had martial arts-based films in Hong Kong, they were very fantastic. You know, they usually involved these guys who were mythic warriors that could fly through the air and were incredible swordsmen.
What he really did with martial arts and with action films is he simplified it. There's no gadgets, no one's flying. Like, he made it as real as possible, and that was his philosophy for Kung Fu.
He wanted the movements to be crisp and have a realistic reaction to it. Every time you go flying through the air, as if you got kicked good and hard.
He made it awesome and cool to just be organic, to be real.
The sense of realism that Lee brought to his films had to feel authentic, for this was a man who knew what it was to fight.
He took his licks. I mean, he got the lights beat out of him sometimes, you know, by some of the things that he had to do. Hitting the ground, making it look like he took a punch.
He was literally beaten and bruised and battered by the end of some of these film shoots.
The reason Lee was able to make fighting look so real hinged on one key factor: pure skill.
I mean, anybody who's watched Bruce is impressed by his speed, for one thing, because he's probably one of the fastest guys you've ever seen.
He's fast and agile.
Quick hands, the quick feet.
He was known for speed and, you know, how hard he can hit from a short distance.
The power didn't come from his enormous muscles. It came from his speed and his constant sort of readiness.
The legitimate skill that Lee possessed was rare in movies. This wasn't an actor trained to do stunts. This was an extreme athlete, first and foremost.
He brought out that athletic ability that you didn't really see in other martial arts movies.
A lot of the actors now don't have a skill set, anything like that, you know.
I mean, this wasn't like Karate Kid, Ralph Macchio, you know? It's like he could really throw down.
You know, for him to be doing a kick to an opponent twice the size and reaching his head, you know, I mean, that's something that, hell, we don't even see today.
But what we do see today is the power that the true artist brings to performance in any sport. Like Lee's insistence on realism in his films, the quality that sets them apart from the rest. Today's athletes aspire to match skill, style, and showmanship to continue to push limits and stand out from the pack.
You can't be fake. You got to know, like, you have those skills.
I think it's very important for the viewing audience to believe what they see happening on the screen.
whether it's wheelies and stoppies and riding the bike backwards. It has to be real. If Bruce Lee rode a motorcycle, that's how he'd ride.
In skateboarding, we have that same principle. Either you're the real deal or you're just a poser.
I would love to be the Bruce Lee of skateboarding in the sense of when I skate, I'm trying to be as good as I can be. And I feel like in our sport, yeah, we may get out there and, talk a big game. And get out there and stir up the media, but hey, in the end, we're still laying down 360s, backflip. All the gnarliest tricks, we do it. You have to be real.
Artistry and athleticism, the real way. It's all a part of the enduring Bruce Lee legacy. Next, Bruce Lee unleashes his 1-inch punch.
People think that's a gimmick until they've seen it in action.
Plus, modern-day athletes learn from the master.
You come out and you put on a good show, you're separating yourself from everybody else just being an average dude,
Bruce Lee captured the essence of the action hero. Adept as both an actor and a martial artist, he mesmerized movie audiences around the world. But his star quality had another vital element: no-holds-barred showmanship.
Bruce Lee had a great sense of what people wanted to see, what was appealing to his fans.
He understood how to market himself and draw the people to him.
He mastered the showmanship and the presentation.
He understood that you had to go that extra bit to make it stand out from the pack.
He had something much greater than martial arts. He had an emotional connection.
And a certain kind of charisma that made you want to watch him beyond just his skills as a martial artist.
Bruce Lee knew how to play to an audience. Even before he became a star, he understood the power of putting on a good show. Back when he competed in martial arts competitions, he would often demonstrate signature moves, like 2-finger push-ups and the 1-inch punch.
The 1-inch punch.
The 1-inch punch, he will put somebody on his butt from 1 inch away, and it's very impressive.
And I've seen his 1-inch punch, and he flinches and knocks people back like 5 feet. I'm like, how's he do that?
People think that's a gimmick until they've seen it in real life or on film.
These special moves became calling cards that secured Lee's reputation as the real deal. And even though he pushed for authenticity on screen, he knew how to throw in a little razzle-dazzle.
He really did walk this very specific walk that nobody had ever seen.
He would also do the kind of thing where he had the cocky little smile, like the sort of like fooling you into complacency.
He was comical, but yet he was serious.
He's like completely in control of his chi. I love that.
The way he would move, his fingers were always like either like this, he'd flick his nose. If you cut him, he'd stop. When he tastes his blood, he'd spit it out.
I mean, when he tastes his blood and the look he gives, like, oh, it's on now, sucker.
He had to throw in that flash, that flair. He had to do some fancy jump kicks and jump high. He knew that in order to draw people in who didn't know the technicalities of martial arts or whatever movie making, he had to show something that they could relate to.
Lee used his trademark moves and mannerisms to get his fight on, creating some of the most unforgettable action scenes ever captured on film. Today's artists and athletes face a similar challenge: how to blend signature style and showmanship to achieve a wow factor that is all their own, and thereby promote the individual sports they so passionately pursue.
I think showmanship is definitely something to understand as far as getting something like snowboarding, getting it out to the public. It's a necessary thing to progress the sport, make it bigger.
Defending gold medalist Jen Hudak here at Winter X Games 14.
I think showmanship is huge. It's what separates out the best athletes from one another. I mean, you have to get there physically with your skiing ability, and and then it's personality from there. That'll take you to the next level. The personality behind whatever it is that you're doing is hugely important. Bruce Lee became an icon because of that.
We all do the same tricks. We all ride the same jumps. But there's a way I do that trick that separates me from the way another rider does it. It's just style. Bruce is all about style.
Bruce Lee had a lot of his own original moves. Well, I got some original moves that I created.
One of the things I learned growing up was the value of marketing, the value of building a character. What separates me from another guy who can do backflips on dirt bikes or can ride fast at the track or, race, is a good racer? There's a lot of guys with a lot of talent. There's only a few guys that have the eye for entertaining people.
You're doing a show. It's a show. I mean, wake up. That's the reality of it. These people want to be entertained. And what Bruce Lee was really good at was he developed his own way.
And you see that in athletes today. There's certain athletes that have that, and they stand out, and they shine, and they're the ones that everybody's attracted to.
Every sport has its superstars. Those that stand out from the rest in terms of their skill, showmanship, and style. For nearly 40 years, one man has personified that unbeatable combination. There is only one master.
Bruce had it all, man.
He kicked a lot of butt in movies. Pretty simple.
He had signatures, and those signatures end up being definition. He was completely unique in that way. That's what makes an icon.
And that's why, to this day, Bruce Lee lives.